Why are people having so much trouble in New York getting the managed long-term care organizations through Medicaid to give them sufficient hours to keep their loved one, let's say mom or dad, at home safely? The reason is a lot of people are applying straight into the managed long-term care plan itself, or they are going through one of the care agencies, and the care agency, which contracts with the managed long-term care plan, does the application for them and gets them into the program. When they go that route, what happens is the managed long-term care plan is the one who ultimately gets to decide how many hours a person gets. And they are using a tool called the Uniform Assessment System New York. We call it the UAS. And they measure the number of minutes that every task is supposed to take. They throw it into the computer, and the computer spits out a number of hours that all of those minutes add up to. Now, what we generally see, regardless of how much a person may need, what we generally see is that their computer spits out 6 hours, okay? Because it's not a proper or effective way of determining how much care a person actually needs, especially a high needs person. If you have someone who's bedbound or who has Alzheimer's and who really can't be on their own at all, the number of minutes that it takes to help that person change a diaper, or to give that person a bath, or to give that person the lunch or the supper, that's not an accurate representation of what the person actually needs to be able to stay in their home and be safe. So we don't like that method of entering the program. We don't typically get our people into the Medicaid home care program by going directly through the managed long-term care plan or through an agency. What we usually do, assuming that our client is qualified, is we put them through an expedited program called the Immediate Needs program. And what that is that's going directly to Medicaid. That's kind of not going into managed long-term care right away. It's going into straight Medicaid, where they are not on a managed care paradigm. They are still operating on a fee-for-service paradigm. And what that means is when they come out to do the assessment to see what a person needs, they are determining what the person actually needs. They are not limited to the math and science that the managed care plans use when they're making these determinations. And that's because they don't have a profit motive like the managed long-term care plans do. So they're actually going to come out, they're going to send a nurse out, and they're going to assess the individual to determine what this person really needs assistance with and how much assistance they need. And then the good thing about using this program is once they've been receiving services for, let's say, 2 to 4 months as a practical matter, the state is going to send a letter saying, okay, now it's time to transition over to managed long-term care. Pick a plan. Okay, and when they pick a plan, the plan is going to come out, send a nurse out to do an assessment, and then we're right there to let the nurse from the plan know that our person came in through the Immediate Needs program, and because they came in through the Immediate Needs program, they have transition rights. Now, what that means is, let's say the Immediate Needs program gave 24 hours a day, 12 hours in the daytime, 12 hours at night. Let's say that's what they gave. The plan is never going to come in and offer them that, but that's okay because they have transition rights due to the fact that they came in through Immediate Needs. And what that means is that once they enroll in the plan, which everybody eventually ends up having to do, the plan has to keep the hours the same as what they were getting under the Immediate Needs program. Now, once they've been enrolled in the plan for 90 days, the plan can reassess and they can attempt to cut the hours. They're allowed to do that. However, if and when or if that happens, that cut has to be done on notice and it's appealable. And these appeals are extremely winnable because they would need to be basically arguing essentially that this person was over-assessed by Immediate Needs. And that's a very hard showing for them to make, that this person who's bedbound and receiving 12-hour split shifts, 24 hours a day through Immediate Needs was over-assessed, and what they actually really need is 6 hours. It's a very difficult thing for the plan to establish. And when we do these appeals, the plan doesn't typically show up and argue that. We typically go through what we call an external appeal process, and there's a whole procedure leading up to that. But We are usually very easily able to establish that the person needs what the immediate needs program was giving them and to win that appeal. So the moral of the story is you may think it's bizarre or unnecessary to use an attorney to get you into a government program, but it tends to be so worthwhile if what you're getting a person is 18 additional hours a day, and which means you're not paying privately for those 18 additional hours a day that the person does need. They can't be alone. So it's a little bit sickening, but it's still probably going to get you the result you want faster and save you a lot of money in the long run.